Today I am sharing 9 things that really help me feel so much better every day and really just improve my day-to-day experience. These little habits are things I do personally that have made such a difference in my life, so I wanted to share them with you. And a few of them are a little more unique. So let's dive into it. I have found what really helps me have great days is to decide I'm going to have a great day. One thing I do that definitely improves how I feel on a day-to-day basis is every single morning as I'm getting ready, I will either read or look at something that basically reminds my brain, hey, this is how I want to show up today. This is the mindset I want to have. This is the energy I want to bring. And I do this in a number of ways, and it's a little bit different every single day. So some days it is just a note in my phone that maybe has some reminders, or it's a list of qualities of my 2.0 self, or it can be, I don't know, quotes or affirmations that you look at. It can be a Pinterest mood board. Again, I switch it up from day to day, but I find it really helps set the tone for the day because instead of starting the day with whatever thoughts are just floating through your head and letting that kind of bring the vibe you start your day with, you're being so intentional about it. So I basically choose a mindset, I choose the vibe I want to feel in my day or the kind of energy I want to be in. There's really no right or wrong way to do it. It's just about setting your energy with intention at the beginning of the day. And if you want, this can be something that you come back to throughout your day to help bring you into that place. A key part of feeling better every day and experiencing more joy and peace is having a calmer system. When your nervous system is constantly revved up, it is so much harder to think clearly. It is so much harder to change how you think and to think more optimistically. It's so much harder to get into a calmer, happier headspace, and everything can just feel a whole lot heavier. I have spent time at changing my way of being to help me overall just have a more regulated nervous system. But I also do things every single day, tiny little things that help me keep up with this. Sometimes that's just taking time to breathe deeply. Sometimes that's doing some kind of 10-minute yoga nidra or a guided meditation. Sometimes it's going outside and laying in the grass and soaking up the sun and just thinking about how beautiful life is. And other times it's just going for a walk and appreciating the nature along the way. I can't even tell you how much working on this and calming my system has made a difference in my life. And I want to be so honest in these videos. So I truly believe one of the things that can help calm your system the most is not being bothered by the little things, really embodying more of that unbothered type of energy, not letting things affect you so much, not overthinking or taking things personally as much, and really just choosing to focus on your joy and your peace and your growth. You know how they say you are what you eat? Well, I personally believe the same goes for what we consume mentally, because the content we consume definitely affects how we think, what we focus on, and how we feel each day, whether or not we perceive that to be the case. So because of that, I purposefully consume something every single day that is uplifting in some way. Things that make me feel inspired or really excited about life, or in some way make me feel more like 2.0 me, the type of vibe and energy I want to be in, especially as I am someone who is a little more energetically sensitive. I tend to be affected by my environment more than your average person. So I feel like it's that much more important for people like me. But I really think it is so helpful to purposefully consume stuff that gets you excited about life, that makes you feel joyful and inspired, things that help you feel good. And sometimes it's not even about the actual content itself. Sometimes it is purely the vibe of, whoever's creating the content, or maybe the vibe of music. This can be really anything. Sometimes it's playlists that I listen to. Sometimes it's specific YouTube videos or specific podcasts. Sometimes it's quotes or something on Pinterest, but more often than not for me, it is specific podcasters or YouTubers or really great music. But find the things that can help you shift into how you want to feel and just take note of that and know that that's something you can come back to every single day. The next habit is a little bit more mindset based and honestly is a life skill that I think is so important for everyone to get good at. So here's the thing. Our brains run wild with thoughts all day long, and we often treat most of them like truth when we really don't need to. What really helps me feel so much better every single day is to notice when I have some kind of thought that does not benefit me or serve me to have. And instead of letting my brain continue down that trail, I pause and don't let it continue. I don't let it mean anything. I reframe it. I shift my focus. And more recently, my favorite thing to do has been to just say, I don't have time for that thought. For example, whenever I have a thought that's maybe starting to compare or is negative or is an excuse of some kind, I pause and say, nope, don't have time for that. I let it just go by and move on, or I reframe it in some kind of way. Because we all have parts of us that are an inner critic, a negative Nancy, some kind of wounded part of us. And we all have picked up on thoughts and mindsets just from the world around us. We have parts of us that don't want to change. But instead of letting those thoughts or those parts of us be in the driver's seat, we can catch those disempowering thoughts or negative thoughts and reframe it or delete it. I know some people, when those kinds of thoughts come up, they literally in their head just say, nope, delete, and move on. So whenever you notice your brain doing something or saying something that you can tell just really doesn't benefit you or doesn't serve you in some way, try out that practice. Because our thoughts do hold a lot of power, but when we become more conscious of what's going on up there and we're more in control of our own minds, our lives can change so much. And piggybacking off of that, what we focus on and spend more time paying attention to plays such a role in how we feel on a day-to-day basis. There are times when I can get so caught up in focusing on my to-dos and my responsibilities and maybe where I'm not quite where I want to be yet, or where things don't feel like they're going right, or what I maybe want to be different about my life. And I notice when I'm in that kind of headspace more often, I feel more dissatisfied, more disappointed. But I can notice such a difference when I'm intentionally shifting my focus to more of what I actually really like about my life, what's going really well, what I'm grateful for, what I appreciate, where I'm having fun. And I just feel so much better and get more in that place of, wow, my life is actually really great. I really enjoy my life. I feel so much more jazzed about life, so much more excited. And when we intentionally choose to focus on the good in our lives, we're essentially telling our brains, hey, this is something that's important and something to pay more attention to. And then our brain starts noticing all of those things in our life more and more. So the tiny habit is to spend some time, even just a small amount of time, every single day focusing on the things that are going well in your life, the things that you really appreciate within your life. And this can be really small, and I honestly believe the smaller the better, because it makes life feel that much better. Like getting to see the sunrise on your way to work, or thinking about how you have a reliable car that gets you from point A to point B. Especially as someone who did not have that for quite some time, I really want to make sure I spend time appreciating the fact that I have that now. Having something where you can really look at the contrast in your experiences can be so helpful for evoking those appreciative feelings. And you can pair this with something like thinking about what you appreciate about your life or within your life while you're drinking your coffee, while you're driving home from work, while you're brushing your teeth, something that you do every single day. And initially, it may feel a little bit tougher to really feel those appreciative and grateful feelings, or to even think of a variety of things, but it's really something where the more you do it, the more you'll build the muscle for it and the easier it will get. Has anyone else gone through their day and noticed that they just feel so lethargic and focusing seems harder, and maybe when you go to work out, things just don't quite feel right? And then you realize, oh, I am basically a raisin right now. I have not drank any water today. There have been days where I just feel off or super fatigued or super hungry, and I really just don't know why I feel not so great. And then I realize, oh, it's just been hours since I've drank any water. No wonder I don't feel great. Being hydrated affects how we feel in so many ways, including our energy and our stamina and our appetite and our focus. So while it feels like a basic one, it's also a really important one, which is why it's here. So the tiny habit for this one is to at least start your day with a full glass of water, and then have little reminders or find some way to get yourself to drink more throughout the day. And for my girlies who do not eat very many processed foods or Also have a really high quality water filter. We need to be making sure we're getting adequate minerals. So you can add a pinch of a really high quality salt into your water. You can get mineral drops, or some people recommend high quality electrolytes. Those aren't for everybody, but just knowing you and your situation, you can do a little bit of research and just try it out and see what helps you feel your best. Something I found really helpful is having a mantra that I carry with me through the day, something that helps remind me of how I want to feel and how I want to show up. And one I've been using recently is soften. And I just really like how that makes me feel and just the reminders it gives me based on the meaning it has for me. I think it can be so helpful to have just one word or a very tiny phrase that you can easily just say to yourself throughout the day to help bring you back into the type of mindset you want to have, or how you want to feel, the type of energy you want to be in, or the version of yourself you want to show up as. Our brains naturally default to old patterns, so if we don't have reminders of how we're wanting to show up, we're just naturally going to slip into old patterns or ways of being, whatever's just familiar to us. And that's where having just a simple one-word reminder that has some kind of meaning or helpful reminder to you can be just so helpful. So pick a word or a small phrase that helps you feel how you want to feel or show up how you want to show up, and use it as a reminder of something you can easily tell yourself throughout the day to help bring you back into that place. There was a time when my days were full of responsibility and productivity and doing all the things I felt like I should do, and I really didn't intentionally make space and time for making sure I was doing things that recharged me, that made me feel really good, that I genuinely enjoyed. But thankfully, at some point, I decided that was not how I was going to continue to live my life. And now I make sure to do something, even if it's really small on days that are a little busier, but making sure I do something every single day that feels recharging, that feels very fulfilling for me, that I just genuinely enjoy. Because I really do not believe life is meant to be full of struggle and responsibility and just kind of pushing through life, or life feeling very meh. No, thank you. And the more I have learned about the brain and health and wellness and energy, the more I know just how important doing things that fill our spirit, that we find fun and fulfilling, really is. Life is not meant to be all work and stress. Things like joy and peace really are so important to our well-being. And when we live our life in a way where we are intentionally incorporating things that help us feel really good or help recharge us, we show up as a way better version of ourselves. And our life and days just feel that much better. And something I highly recommend is to make a list of things that you genuinely enjoy doing and or things that feel very recharging for you. And then you can essentially make this a menu, and depending on the day, you can pick what fits best into your day or what just sounds really good in that given day. And the last one is to keep a log of what makes you feel so good. I personally use a note in my notes app and just log when I do something or experience something, and it just makes me feel so lit up. It makes me feel so inspired or excited. Maybe that just makes me feel so abundant. Logging the stuff that really helps invigorate your soul, and then intentionally adding more of that into your day-to-day life. And you'll know you're doing this right when you surprise yourself. For example, I live in Austin, Texas, and we have this one shopping center that I hadn't been to in a while, and I was able to go to in the middle of the day on a weekday because I am lucky enough to set my own schedule. And when I was there, I just felt so good. I felt so lit up. I felt so amazing. And it actually reminded me of things I had realized about myself as a kid and hadn't thought about in a while. And I just took note of that and set the intention to make sure to go back there far more often than I was before. As another example, as I started to pay way more attention to how things made me feel rather than just what I thought about them, I noticed that I felt so good and so lit up when I would learn about astrology. And a part of me was like, really? Like, this is what I'm really into? But while I was learning about it, I would just feel so good and feel naturally so excited. And so I decided to just continue to lean into that. And as I've been on this journey, I've been really surprised by some of the things that light me up, that really bring me joy, that fulfill me. But you just kind of go with it. And as you find the things that help you feel these ways, You then intentionally incorporate that stuff into your life as much as you can. And guys, this is how you build a life that you love. This is how you build a life that feels so good. You pay attention to the things that actually make you feel these ways, not just the stereotypical, what our society deems as fun and fulfilling and whatever, but what really makes you feel this way, and incorporate that into your life. And this doesn't mean everything will always be good and easy. Growth can be deeply uncomfortable. It can be extremely challenging, but growth is also necessary for a life full of joy and peace and love. There will be struggle, there will be some discomfort, but your dream life, your real dream life, not the one that your ego has thought of for you, comes from finding the things that really fill you up, that really feel meaningful, that are energizing, that feels aligned. And the more you listen to yourself instead of the world around you, the more joy you will feel, the more satisfaction in your life you will feel. Get to really know yourself and listen to the nudges from your soul and your heart, and then build a life and version of you based on that. And I promise your life will feel so much better if you do. Let me know what you thought about these. Go ahead and just share in the comments below. Thank you so much for watching. I love getting to share what I can to help improve your life in some way. So I hope you got some value out of it, and I hope you have a fabulous day. Bye.